I'm about to show you the exact process we use in our agency to build B2B ICP lists for our clients from 10 plus different industries around the world and help them fuel prospecting campaigns and generate dozens of qualified leads and meetings every single week. My name is Albert Zuschman and I'm the founder of Scaling Labs. Scaling Labs is a B2B sales prospecting agency, and in this video, I will take you behind the scenes of how we build an effective account list, the foundation of every outbound system that helped us and more than 25 of our clients with building sales processes. You will watch me live, showing you how to pick the right tools and find your ICP data, apply precise filters, export, clean, and validate data, use Clay to enrich the data with insights such as hiring, news, or locations, and score and prioritize accounts in Clay so that you will be able to do it yourself even today. So whether you're a founder, running your own outreach, or head of sales, managing a team, by the end of this video, you will know exactly how to map your market, build your account list from scratch, to then build it into a system that delivers qualified opportunities every week. So starting things off, we need to really understand what are the differences and definitions behind market, ICP, and persona. So based on examples, you can define market as B2B manufacturing in Europe. ICP, something that we're discussing today, is, for example, mid-sized industrial cleaning companies between 50 to 500 employees. And persona is, as the name states, the person within the business that makes decisions. So, for example, purchasing director or facility manager. So what is an ICP list? ICP list, it's a structured list of companies you want to sell to. It's a map of your total addressable market, also known as TAM. It's the foundation of every prospecting or marketing campaign for the next months. It is built around your ideal customer profile, and the list itself includes key company data such as name, website, industry, employee count, revenue, and location. So this acts as the starting point for finding decision makers inside each company. And it's a living asset for your and your team that will be updated and enriched over time. And it's not something like a one-off spreadsheet that you will send your outreach messages to and forget about it. So now let's just quickly go through on why it's important to start from mapping out your ICP list. So first of all, most of the teams start with people, not companies, and it's a big mistake because whether you scrape the data or from some kind of provider or you buy it, you are left without any idea on how big the market is. So you can scrape the data for 30 or 40% of decision makers within your market, and you don't know that about the companies that also might be recipient or may need your services or product that basically you can sell to, and you're missing them at all. So what ends up happening usually is that you send your messages, right, to 100,000 people, 200,000 people or more. Some of them land, some of them help you book meetings, and some of them just end up in spam. And then you're left thinking, okay, so that was it. What's next? So unless you have your account list, like a full database of all the accounts that qualify to buy from you, mapped out, you're just, the entire outreach becomes random and inconsistent. And starting from accounts gives you structure. You know who you're targeting and why. And a good account list becomes map of your market, showing all the potential buyers, right? And it keeps your sales and marketing aligned around the same target companies. It allows you to segment companies between those who maybe show some signals that are the most interested in your product or services and those who are maybe not responsive at all. Maybe they don't care. So you know which segments you can focus on. And it can act as a CRM before the CRM, so you can have it in a Google Sheet and just write and track who's contacted, who's interested, and who is not ready yet. You can track all the feedback that you gather. You can adjust your offer and positioning to also attract those customers from this particular segment that is maybe not responsive, or maybe they have some particular objections, right? And of course, it can be uploaded to your CRM right away, so you can track everything in real time. So if you start from account list, it saves you time and budget because you can focus on only those who are qualified and fit your criteria. And it helps you with data-driven learning, something that I mentioned already, because you can analyze segment by segment. So, and all of that can transform your outreach from sending campaigns to building a repeatable sales system. So now let's start with the definitions. I went through it really quickly, but I'll show you more in detail. So your ICP is the type of company that's the best fit for your product or service. It's the organization and not in the individual, right? So think of it as a company level criteria, who you should sell to. So this This list should contain information about the industry, the company size, revenue, geography, tech stack they use. Maybe this is something important for you, or trigger events that tell you which company might be interested in your service as of now. For example, they're expanding in new markets, hiring new sales roles, or raising funding. As an example, we can say that our ICP is mid-sized manufacturing companies in Central Europe from 100 to 500 employees that operate multiple facilities and invest in digitalization. And buyer persona defines the person within the company who makes or influences the buy decision, right, as the name states. So it's a human level profile. It always contains from the title and role, such as CEO or HR director, head of marketing. It should give you the pain points, such as, for example, inefficient lead flow, poor visibility, rising costs, their goals and their motivations on what they want to achieve, what are their responsibilities and where they want to get. For example, increase sales, improve productivity, reduce waste. Their preferred channels like LinkedIn, email, phone, maybe some of them prefer to receive letters, and KPIs they care about, so revenue growth, lead quality, and ROI. And for example, it can be a head of sales or business development in mid-sized B2B companies responsible for revenue growth, but struggling to reach new markets efficiently. So, and this idea of defining your persona and your ICP, it's a totally different topic. We will assume we know it already just for the sake of this video, so we can go smoothly on how to build your list. But this is a topic for another video that I want to cover on which questions to use to actually understand your persona. How to map out all the decision makers within the companies, someone who holds budget, someone who have this pain already, and how to structure your lead magnets, your outreach sequences, right, to actually speak to their needs and motivations, so that it also will transform your outreach, your prospecting efforts from just blindly guessing and blasting emails to understanding who to contact first, understanding their problems, that it dramatically increases reply rates and, of course, the numbers of meetings you book, and therefore sales, which I guess is the main priority for all of you watching here. So if we have our ICP defined, we always have to go through the process of picking the right tools. So which tool should you pick? And the answer here is it depends, right? It depends on the type of the business that you want to have access to. For example, for local businesses such as gyms, flower stores, coffee shops, or for social media businesses like social media profiles, YouTube profiles, right? I would go with Apify, because Apify is your go-to scraping platform that allows you really easily extract all the information. But for example, for Google Maps or Amazon stores, you can go with a simple scraper. You can use it, and you can use it for free, and you can scrape the data worth of $5 to see what kind of data and results can you get. And it's really easy because you can test it out. You can just simply, maybe it looks complicated, but the only thing that you have to input is like the type of the business that you're looking for example, flower store, and the location, and then you get all the information that you are looking for. So if you don't know about Apify yet, I really encourage you to test it out if you're targeting local businesses or social media based businesses. And if you're targeting e-commerce stores, for example, I don't know why this arrow went really there, because it should be here. So Store Leads is the platform that you should be interested in, right? Because you can find all the data that is interesting to you. You can segment by the platform that they are built on, for example, Shopify, WooCommerce, and so on. You can see their active, so you can see their website, number of website views. You can see their estimated revenue. You can see sort by different categories, and really have all the information you need to start working on your database if you're targeting e-commerce stores. And when it comes to traditional businesses, and when it comes to traditional businesses, and this one is interesting because there are still many businesses that really operate offline. For example, cleaning services, right? And this is something that we always do, no matter the country we are targeting, whether it's in Eastern Europe or US, we always look in some niches for either company directories The example can be Aero pages in Europe, because you have access to massive amount of data on companies. Or you can also look for country public registries. For example, in Poland there is something called KRS, and you have access to all the data is public. You can have access to all the businesses in Poland and sort them by the type of the business that you are actually interested in, depending on what they do, right? So this is something that you can filter out for yourself. And looking for public registries in certain countries is always a good way to, start your research, because it can give you a lot of resources, a lot of data that you're really looking for. But apart from that, for traditional businesses, I always encourage to, have a look at the company directories. 90% of other companies, you always can go with tools like Apollo, ZoomInfo, or Cognism. And the last two are more enterprise level. They have more access to the data, more sophisticated data. And I would say Apollo is the best pick when you're looking for something inexpensive, but also something that will give you access to robust data on companies and people. And last but not least, for data enrichment and scoring, we'll use Clay. And I will show you today how Clay's AI agent, named Claygent, can help you to really speed up your due diligence and research process and find the most important data about the companies. A few years ago, it would take you dozens or hundreds of hours of research, and you can do it right now in just span of an hour. And I will show you today how to do it. Now let's go through live example, and for the sake of the example, and not only scrape them, but we will go through finding additional info. Let's say they're hiring for IT department, and we want to know how many plans they have in Germany. We want to see some other growth signals. Are they investing in entering new markets, opening new offices, or maybe they're receiving some investment rounds? And we'll do it in Clay. We'll also go through lead scoring in Clay, and I'll show you how it is done. So now we are in our Apollo dashboard in a company list filter. As you can see, there is access to almost 32 million companies worldwide. So as you can see, there are a lot of filters that you can go through, but it's really important for you to understand that it's not set in stone. It's an estimation, usually, when it comes to, for example, revenue or filtering by job posting for specific roles. It's not always, it's never 100% accurate. So you never treat it as something that is 100% sure. It gives you an estimate and gives you an overview. So what we want to target, of course, is Germany. So there are all the companies that are headquarters in Germany. We'll go with keywords. Manufacturing. It's really broad, so we don't care at this point what type of goods they are manufacturing. We just want to make sure that they are manufacturing companies. So when it comes to employees, it's a really important thing for you to take into account that when you're filtering for a specific number of employees, for us it's between 50 to 500 employees. The thing is that I will show you an example. This company, Imo, or whatever you pronounce it, sorry. When you go to their website, you have to go to their LinkedIn profile, and I'll show you something in a second. So it is said that they have more than 10,000 employees, right, in total. This is something that the company states. But when you go to the people page, you have 134 employees. It is 134 employees that are pinned to their LinkedIn account page. So here's an important lesson for you, especially in manufacturing industry. That's why I picked this example, is if you want to target companies that are hiring more than 50 people in total, this number of employees filter will give you access to number of employees that are pinned to their LinkedIn profile. So usually you can think about it as an office employees most of the time, right? Because most of the factory workers, they don't have their LinkedIn accounts, and usually they don't, right? So the way you can think about it and approach it, you can just filter from a smaller number of employee count, for example, from 21. So you take into consideration that there are a lot of people that are not really on their LinkedIn profile and they're not there. So you're going really broader. And this is something that I encourage always, to go broad when exporting database, and then narrow it down with other filters or AI search. So we have right now our broader version of manufacturing companies. As you can see, there's more than 15K of companies. So now I want to just for the sake of this example, I will export 100 of them. So give me a second. As you can see, it's already done. As you can see, it's already exported. I'm downloading it, and now we go through the process of segmenting this data, cleaning our list, and make it ready for another part of enrichment in Clay. So we always go with Google Sheet because it's really easy to navigate it. It's really easy to organize the data here and prepare it for another steps. So as you can see, there's a lot of information, a lot of data points. We'll call it just give me a second. I want to make sure that it's really visible what we have here. Okay, that's a good start. As you can see, there's a lot of things as 2 columns with company name. There's other columns with different addresses, and we don't really want all of that here. So I will just start to delete all of this information that we don't need. So I'm gonna prepare it for a further enrichment. Website and company LinkedIn, it's something that you always should keep in mind when enriching the data. It's the foundation of all the enrichment because all the companies are basing their data on these specific factors such as URL, website, and company LinkedIn. That's why it's important to have access to it. We don't need this information. Maybe the city only. We know it's Germany, but okay, it can be there. This is a short description that is created from company LinkedIn profile, and it can be really helpful when segmenting the database later on. So now we have, let's say this is all the crucial data that we really need for our enrichment. And now we can take this database to Clay and look for another additional information, such as, for example, hiring. We can find whether they are hiring for IT department, how many plans they have, and find out more about their growth signals. So what we're gonna do is just simply download CSV file, go to our Clay account. We'll go to Clay and we'll go to new workbook. We'll call it Germany Manufacturing, and we'll import the data from CSV file. As you can see, we have all the data that has been in our Google Sheet right in our Clay account. So now we want to proceed with finding more information. But first things first, we want to make sure that all the companies that we have in our database are actually manufacturing companies. We can look at their industry. As you can see, there is no information about this company. Apparel, fashion, maybe they're producing it, maybe not. Online media, something to take into account, that might not be a feed. IT, as you can see, there's IT and services. So what we want to do first is validate our account list. As I said, we went really broader, and there is a risk. There's always a risk exporting the database from Apollo or any other data provider, that there will be companies that are not really into our ICP. They're not really feed. So what we want to do is we want to enrich this data and use AI. We'll use Claygent to filter out whether this company, based on their website and on their company LinkedIn profile, whether this company is actually manufacturing something. So we're gonna use Claygent, and the really great thing about it is it becomes so easy for you to use it. So you don't have to know everything about prompt engineering. It just helps you create a prompt. So what I would say is you are expert company website and LinkedIn profile. find out whether the company is manufacturing. And now with this something with such a basic prompt, it just the new feature sculpture helps you create entire proper prompt. As you can see, it's all happening here. It says in which, as you can see, it gives instructions to the AI so that it knows where to look for. It will use all kind of resources to figure out what type of company is it. So as you can see, it's Clay in general, it's kind of pricey. That's why what is helpful here is having your API from ChatGPT. That's what we use. So we have our own API, and this helps us save a lot of money on such enrichment. So you always remember to keep max cost to 1 cent, so you never pay too much for such enrichment. Because when you start working on a database of 10,000 companies, it's starting to get a little bit pricey. So what I did here is I started with 10 companies because we first want to make sure we have our prompt right and that is accurate. Because if Claygent made a mistake here, we want to figure out the new prompt. Okay guys, so I had a little bit of trouble with my camera, so it just stopped recording for some reason, and I don't know at what point the video was cut off. So I will just simply proceed with explaining you what I've done and what worked and what I had to fix. So when it comes to the prompt, what you have to look for is it's easy to write what you want to achieve, right? But for the first time that I tried to find specific information, I didn't add a short description as a value that I wanted to Clay or AI to analyze. And that's why the responses that I received weren't correct. So the process looks like this always when it comes to Clay. You do enrichment, so you use AI, Claygent, with your GPT AI, API. You write down your prompt, you let Clay finish it and write it professionally, right? A proper prompt. And then you test on a size of 10 rows. So you check manually whether all the results are actually true. And it's really important because, for example, in my previous case, I found out that some of the companies said no, and in reality they were manufacturing companies. So I knew that there was something wrong with my prompt. It's not that it doesn't work, it's something wrong with the prompt. So you need to tweak something and change. And then once you tweak it and you see like, okay, in these 10 examples I'm correct, you can also see something that or check something that is just looks like it's maybe it doesn't actually fit our ICP in this case, for example, staffing and recruiting, and it was right. So we have a really high accuracy of our AI being correct. And what we can do with it right now is we can just simply sort by yeses and nos. So we can delete all the nos because they are not the companies that we want to target, and run all the. So we can just simply place run column, run all the rows that haven't run or have errors. So you have all the information, you sort it by yes, and then you delete all the no's. So what's next? We've already validated our database, and now we have to find additional information. So the process will look really similar. What you have to do is you use AI to add new enrichment. You ask it to filter. So you're a pro researcher. Okay, so my prompt is a little bit messy, but I'm sure that Clay will figure it out, and we'll see. So with this prompt, as I mentioned earlier, the process is the same. You let Clay design the entire prompt for you. You run it on a small database, a small number of rows, which is 10, and you check for the accuracy of its findings, right? So you always pick the maximum cost, so it's capped, and you see for first 10 rows. Sometimes it gives you information that you don't need. For example, in my previous example, when my camera was off, what it found, because I didn't say respond yes or no, I just said find active hirings in IT department. So what it did, it returned the answer with a title of the job that they're hiring for, or they were just some other messy responses. So you have to tweak it also. You have to be specific in what answers you want to receive in what form, so it's readable and easy for you. Because maybe now, once I know who is recruiting for IT departments, I want to ask Clay to give me 3 example titles, up to 3 titles, for these IT departments that they're looking for. So right now, I'm going to validate all the information that it brought back to see if my prompt is working. Yeah, as you can see, there are open job for C++ engineer in Munich, exactly as Clay stated. Application and data manager, that is project manager in SAP or SAP, right? So this is IT. Let's check this one. Project manager. So we don't have really IT jobs here. Why food? As you can see, they're only recruiting for IT. So it also makes sense that it's true. So what you have to do right now, because I don't want this video to take 1 hour or more, what you want to do is filter out, is make sure the data is accurate. If not, you have to tweak the prompt. You can also, what you can also do if that it doesn't work, you can basically copy the prompt to ChatGPT, say that it wasn't correct. What can you change? Maybe can it be a little bit more specific, so that ChatGPT can further enhance your prompt and give you better results. But for me, it worked. I checked everything, and it worked, and it's accurate. So we have right now active IT hiring. We use the same scheme for finding how many manufacturing plants in Germany does this company have. So at the beginning, when you think about Clay, it might be really overwhelming. But if you want to, just take 20% of your efforts, of your learning, to get 80% of the knowledge or data that you want, or the value that Clay can give you, it's basically using Claygent. And it's basically using Claygent and its most basic. I'm not sure if it's basic because it's quite complex, but it's quite simple, right? So I don't really want to go through and see the entire prompt, because maybe it's written perfectly but won't return the results that I'm looking for, or it will be returning the wrong results. So then I'll be looking at it. So what I want to check here is if there's no manufacturing plant, if the company isn't manufacturing anything, I want to make sure that it states 0, right? We also have to keep in mind that these manufacturing plants, they can be outside of Germany, and you can always check for reasoning. Now you can do all kinds of research based on this. Let's say, for sake of our example, we wanted to learn how many manufacturing plants they have in Germany, because that's something that we will be reaching out about. But you can ask for all sorts of different things. For example, what's the total number of manufacturers of plants for this specific company in the world? Or give me the cities in which these manufacturing plants are, or give me the type of things that they are actually manufacturing. So one last thing we'll do is we'll find whether there was some big news on the company. For example, if they are the growth signals, right? So if they're entering new markets, opening new offices, or investment rounds, and we ask Clay to give us information on that. So now this is another prompt that will allow us to score leads later on, because we see if they're investing in growth, if they received a funding round, if they went to a new market. Maybe this is something that our services, your services, can be helpful to them. And this is also solely for an example and purposes of this video, but you get the idea of what are we actually looking for and how it can help us. Okay, that's interesting. So they received in July 2025, they received a founding round. That is interesting. So let's check this out. Oh, it does. So as you can see, that it's definitely true. So it's really helpful. In these 10 companies, there are actually 2 companies that haven't received any new funding, haven't opened new office, or haven't expanded to new markets, which is really interesting. Okay, so as you can see, it's an expansion of electronic and sensor spare parts portfolio. So it qualified it as entering new product market segment. So this is something that it's up to you to narrow down. How do we define entering a new market? Because entering a new market for a local company, it can be entering a new state or a city. And for a global company, it can be entering a new continent, for example, right? So this is worth defining. What do we mean by that? But as you can see on this example, all the criteria that all the answers that we receive are actually correct, and they are and we have reasoning for that, so that we are sure that Clay conducted a proper research on that. Now, the last point of our work with Claygent is to score our leads, and I'll show you how to do it in a second. So, so now you have to, the inputs are the number of scoring criteria. So what we'll look is if the company is hiring, if they have more than 2 manufacturing plants in Germany, and if they're investing in expansion, or they're expanding, they're receiving funding and stuff like that. So the answer is yes. So we have 3 criteria. And how this works is comparison type 1. It's equals, because we look for yeses in active hiring status. So keywords is yes and no, and scores will add plus 20 points if it's yes, and 0 if it's no. So what will happen is, if the company is actively hiring, Clay will add 20 points for our total sum of specific number of points that we have in total, so that we know. So as you can see, what will allow us to have is information about which prospect, which company has the highest chances or likelihood of being interested in our products or service. Because in this case, this is what interests us. If they're hiring for IT, if they have more than 2 plans, and if they're expanding or investing in growth. So then you can filter by the highest numbers and see which companies you should prioritize. So here we'll go with the number. So if it's from 0 to 1, 0 to 1, and from 2, let's say 2 to 5, and then from 6 to 10, and the scores are 0, 20, and 40. And the last criteria will be expansion equals and for yes we will receive 20 points or 25 points and 0 if there's no expansion. We pick it is so it will answer with a score and we'll run it for 10 rows. So as you can see, Clay helped us score our rows, and right now if we run entire column we will end up with different numbers, and the higher the number, the higher the likelihood that this company buying intent is the highest. This is how lead scoring in Clay look like, and this is how it can help you prioritize which companies you should reach out to first. So what are the next steps? And the next step is, of course, building the list of prospects. So once you have your foundation, which is account list, now you can go through and it's really easy to find prospects. And this is something that I want to record my new video about. So please let me know if this video was helpful and what type of content would you like to receive from me in the following weeks, because I plan to record a video on basically everything that I mentioned here. So how to find all the people within the company that take part in the decision making process, how to tier them into the segments, who is the champion with the pain and who holds the budget, for example. So this is the persona part that I mentioned at the beginning. How to create a multi-channel campaign workflow from email, LinkedIn to phone, or maybe even letters. How to create personalized outreach messages and scripts and lead magnets that attract attention, show understanding your capabilities in solving their problems. And I will cover it all in the next video, so make sure you subscribe and let me know in the comments down below if you like this video, if it was helpful, if you find it valuable, so it will help me make better content in the future. So thank you for watching and see you next time.